Welcome to another edition of Discovery Road with James Nelson and Marita Gallo. Traveling along the historical Mormon Pioneer National Heritage Area, these two are bringing you stories of long-ago pioneers.
This history outlaw is America.
Modern-day artists.
Action.
Characters.
Hello, Discovery Road.
Storytellers and surprises.
That's the gossip.
Home of the homemade pot.
You're killing me, Ed.
They're traveling the historic corridor, visiting towns and places of interest.
Hello.
They had no problem with a tire, and we fixed their tire for them.
Who knows where their next stop will be? But one thing is for certain. You can count on a journey filled with a carload of discoveries.
Okay, stand by. Rolling.
Welcome to Discovery Road. In this episode, James will introduce us to small towns, books, pies, a Barnwood artist, and some pretty interesting stop signs. Did I miss anything? Oh yeah, sheep. Lots of sheep. Woolly bully. Roll it, guys. Roll it.
But this is the great challenge, is to paint on something that rough.
I just feel so blessed I have the rural setting as part of my life.
My husband is a rancher and loves horses, and so whoa is a fun way to say stop.
Yes, this small town is truly amazing, and it has a wonderful story to tell. When you see the stop signs, I'm betting you're going to first make the stop, then want to take some photos and post them right away. As for the community's post office, well, let me put it this way. You're going to feel right at home. A little American town at the base of the Sunset Cliffs. Not many houses, not many people, but a pleasing postcard atmosphere.
Hello, Orville.
Oh, you want your mail?
Yeah, I need to pick up my mail. I think I've got a box.
Do you want me to give him, or do you want him to let him get it out of the box?
The post office is really just a back porch, the other side of Orville and Gerda Palmer's kitchen. It's where people get their mail and a slice of life.
So what are you up to today?
I'm gonna go check the cows right now.
Oh, okay. So they're up at the ranch.
Yeah, we got them all moved.
That easy-does-it way of life goes way back here in Alton. You can see it on the faces from yesterday. Neat rows of children, a winter scene, a smiling couple, proud people.
I moved here, came down from Provo, big city stuff, and this is one of the things that really fascinated me. You know, just do it on somebody's back porch. I thought that was pretty neat.
We live on top of the world. I go half a mile east, and the water runs down the Kanab Creek into Grand Canyon. Go a mile and a half west, the water runs down the Virgin River into Lake Mead. Go to 3 miles north and the water's running down the Sevier into Delta country. We're on top of the world, and we feel like that too.
The stop signs in Alton are more than just a roadside oddity. Town officials ordered them online as a fun way for a ranching community to tell the people and the horses when to stop. But early on, the signs went missing until some teenagers were caught. You might say the stop signs are trending a bit there in Alton.
It's interesting. We'll be shopping in St. George, and they'll say, "Where are you from?" "Alton." "Oh, that's where they have the woe signs." St. George is like 100 miles away. So I don't know, they're kind of popular.
just had a garden ever since I was born, practically. I wouldn't know what to do without it.
Say hello to Elma Heaton, aged 91. Her garden and watching the Utah Jazz are her hobbies in life these days.
We planted onions and carrots and tomatoes and squash and cucumbers and all kinds of greens like lettuce and stuff like that.
Alma has outlived most of her friends and immediate family back in Arizona. Here in Alton, though, she still feels important.
When I was little, I came from a place just like this. And we just knew everybody, and when I came up here, everybody just accepted me and took me for what I was worth, and they've just been really good to me. I can't ask for anything more than that. Everybody I knew down to Woodruff's gone, so, and then the house is about to fall down, and there's no happiness to go back there anymore.
In the end, Alma's story is everyone's story about being accepted, having a place in the world, wherever that is.
Well, this has been my philosophy. Here I can do what I want to, when I want to, if I want to, and how I want to.
Of course, once you visited an important place, there's only one way to let people know how much you enjoyed it. Send them a postcard and get that postmark. Orville, 2 postcards, send them out for me, please. A stop sign, a post office, and people. The story of Alton, Utah. We open the curtain on this small Utah community with a look back to flickering images on the big screen, to movies like El Dorado.
So ride, only ride to the end of the rainbow.
Great American cinema, and just one of the many movies that filmed in and around this prime location known as Duck Creek Village.
It's the most beautiful country I've ever seen.
Drums Along the Mohawk, Brighty of the Grand Canyon, Can't Help Singing, and many others found Duck Creek just right for the movies.
They filmed quite a bit of My Friend Flick, I think, in California, but they were able to come up here and film this beautiful meadow in a pristine condition and to really capture this setting, that they were after.
Not only did movie directors film around here, movie stars like Elizabeth Taylor found Duck Creek Village a place of refuge while working on movies like National Velvet down the road a bit. Duck Creek Village remains a relaxing place for just about anybody these days.
The most important part of these people's lives at the time they spent in Duck Creek Village. It's just a special place, just an oasis out of the desert, the Southwest desert, to come to this incredible environment at about 8,500 feet out of the desert. And it's just an oasis for those people escaping the heat of the desert.
For Mike Kenner, getting people to come to Duck Creek is the best part of his job.
Yeah, I think one of the big points about Duck Creek as being very popular, it's just right near the national parks. You're less than an hour to Bryce and a little over an hour into Zion National Park. And you have the Grand Canyon, North Rim, not too far away.
No matter who visits Duck Creek Village, they're bound to get hungry. And there's no better place than Aunt Sue's to handle that.
We are basically just home cooking meat and potatoes, hand-pressed burgers, homemade pie, homemade biscuits, homemade cinnamon rolls. We just feed the common folk.
If you visit Duck Creek Village, we think there's a person you should know about. She's a celebrity of sorts around here. Decades of cooking, great customer service, always with a smile, always a darn nice person. And the place is named after her, Aunt Sue.
I said, I don't know if I want my name, you could do your name or something else, but my family's, we're all really close, and my nephew said, no, it needs to be Aunt Sue's, and so here we are, Aunt Sue's.
And they haven't forgotten the movie Past here. Old movie set photos and plenty of storytelling will always be on the menu at Aunt Sue's.
Being on a scenic byway, I think it's important that our travelers come through, because we get Switzerland and Germany and all these different places, and they always are wondering, how did Duck Creek show up?
But we came here for pie, homemade lip-smacking pie, because word around these parts is the pie at Aunt Sue's is plentiful and delicious.
Apple, cherry, banana cream, pumpkin. And I have 3 berry pies which aren't here, I haven't baked today.
Wow, oh my goodness, it's all here. Aunt Sue's in Duck Creek Village. We are indeed in pie heaven. In the lush meadows and among the rolling hills of the Sanpete Valley, there's a story about inspiration, character, and freedom. And it begins with a search. Somewhere among these stacks and piles, hidden in the homely detail of natural wood grain, is the focus of Larry Nielsen's ongoing inquest.
Here's a piece of barnwood that's probably 100 years old, but look at the gorgeous texture, the great textures in there. And it's very, very rough because the grooves and the pits and everything has been in there for many, many years. And that's been exposed to the weather and probably been through 85 or 90 winters. And on the other side, there's some spectacular things going on there. That was on the inside of the barn or the shed, and it's got some nice lines in it. But this is the great challenge, is to paint on something that rough.
Early in his career, Nielsen painted on black velvet and later psychedelic expression from his paintbrushes, with subjects ranging from the Beatles to Donny Osmond to rock stars like Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin. Then he returned to Ephraim, Utah, back home among the fences and barns and among the weathered wood pieces. His artwork had been featured in galleries all across the country, and pieces appeared on television and in motion pictures and on book covers.
You notice I never add color to my paintings, but I will use mostly a monochromatic, but I can see where I need to add the highlights on that, a hat here and there.
But over the decades, Larry Nielsen had never done a painting about patriotism until September 2001. For some inexplicable reason, Nielsen started painting the famous Joe Rosenthal photograph from World War II, Marines raising the flag on Iwo Jima, where close to 7,000 American soldiers would die.
That image came to me, and I decided I found a very neurotic-looking piece of wood, warlike, and put this image on there. And a day later, the next day after I'd finished it, New York was in flames.
After September 11th, Nielsen's painting took on new life. The original was given to President Bush, and prints started circulating among the veterans who fought on Iwo Jima. The first went to Keith Renstrom, a gunnery sergeant with the 4th Marine Division on Iwo Jima.
All the things you hear, blood and guts, I've seen it. I was there. And I was wounded there. I was hit by a Japanese hand grenade. I still have 2 pieces in my arm and a piece behind my heart from that grenade that went off. And I was shot through my right leg. So I've left my blood on 2 islands to give freedom to America.
Strangely, Renstrom landed on Iwo Jima at the same time as photographer Rosenthal. These battle photos show Renstrom surrounded by the horror war. They were taken by Rosenthal. So when he started circulating Nielsen's artwork among Marines and soldiers who fought on Iwo Jima, Renstrom knew how they would react. One by one, their signatures, scrawled around the mythical image on Nielsen's weathered timber piece, a roll call of patriots.
What it means to us is freedom. It means dedication. It means duty. And it means everything to me. And the people that see it and have signed it means the same thing to them.
Larry Nielsen still searches for that just right piece of wood for his next painting. And he still tells everyone he meets about the Iwo Jima story, that special piece of barnwood and the 1,000 heroes who have signed it.
My mission at this point is to get the spotlight on these guys so they will be recognized and honored for the great work that they did and sacrifices they made for us.
A gripping scene of war from another generation, painted on a piece of wood from a barn. Barns, those simple, sturdy structures, once so abundant all across the land, now a stirring reminder of the American character. Shirley Bauman is at it again, heading off to resurrect the past, uncover some things few know about. Like a detective on a quest, she's determined and hungry for a story.
I've enjoyed writing ever since I was a child. I wrote my first novel when I was 10 years old. It was 25 pages long, which isn't really a novel, but hey, for a 10-year-old, that's a lot of writing just to do for fun.
Little-known personal accounts of pioneer adventures, stowed away in a basement cabinet, all but lost.
We just think it's wonderful. We're so excited that, number one, that she has this wonderful talent. Number two, she has the opportunity to use this talent. And frankly, we're excited that she shares such wonderful stories about the Manti pioneers.
Once the stories have been checked out of the library, a few layers of time peel back, and the dust brushed away, a little magic happens. A plain and simple chronicle left in the family attic comes to life, offering an intriguing look at the American West.
When I found these stories, they were ones that really grabbed my heart and grabbed my imagination. I have things in here like a woman who was so set on saving her chickens from dying because that was her livelihood that she went out and killed the bobcat that was taking her chickens, and she strangled him with her apron strings. We also have some funny stories about a flock of geese that one day the family found them all upended on their back. They'd gotten into some spoiled preserves and they died. So they didn't want to waste the feathers, so they plucked all the geese, and it was too late to do anything except throw them in a wheelbarrow. The next morning they come outside and there are all these naked geese running around the yard because they weren't really dead, they were drunk. They were dead drunk.
Using the written accounts from the library and pioneer artifacts like these gives Bauman plenty to write about.
This is a washboard. And actually, I found one of these that had one side with the ribs and the other side with dots. And on the side with the dots, it said, "for fine washables." So they actually had a delicate cycle on their washboards, if you could believe it. And good night to the old werewolf hollering, "Boo!"
Shirley Bauman's love for writing is matched, it seems, with her love for reading. Children routinely gather for her storytelling, lessons for the youngsters about the joy of reading, and for the parents and families, lessons about hard times, then and now.
People today have different problems. They're just as strong as the pioneers were. And when things come up that you feel like you can't get through and you don't see any way around it, there's always a way. And these stories illustrate that. They had different kinds of challenges, but even today, we just have to persevere and find our way through, and it's all going to work out, and we're just as strong as the pioneers were.
Visit historic Lamb's Grill in downtown Salt Lake City, and you get not only a doggone good meal, but an art and history lesson as well. An intriguing photo exhibit of the sheep culture in Utah's Sanpete Valley. 19 black and white photographs, framed silver gelatin prints, and customers love them.
They find it quite interesting. A lot of people come from that area of Utah, and they're very familiar with it. It seems like he's captured the real heart of it, the working aspects of the sheep industry down there, and just how hard people really work at it.
The man behind the photo exhibit is Peter Goss. His work documents a part of the American rural lifestyle that connects yesterday with today.
That exhibit really focuses on everything that occurred in Sanpete County in my documentation during that period. And what I was trying to do is getting the movement up the sheepways onto the Manti-La-Salle allotments in the Manti-La-Salle National Forest, moving them back down into the valley in the early fall, then getting them photographed in the public corral in Spring City, showing them being weighed and then shipped out to other markets, and that is the lambs, and then also moving them out onto the West Desert. And I've gone out in the West Desert and photographed them out there, and also photographed them shearing in that area as well.
This is not an unusual scene in the Sanpete Valley, sheep being moved. In many ways, sheep have the right-of-way down here. Every summer there's a lamb festival, and in local artwork, sheep are a common theme.
Okay. Well, I find it just interesting to be around them, and they're not very friendly unless they've been bottle fed, or bummers as they call them. But now we've been standing here, they're curious, they're coming over, sniffing my hand, and even the older members of the flock here are kind of curious, they're coming our way. They'll stare at us and probably won't do much more than that.
Over the years, Goss has taken several thousand images of numerous sheep operations.
The shearing group that I photographed were all from New Zealand, and their crew boss was from Idaho, an 84-year-old gentleman who had been doing this for quite a long time. They will take the sheep off the line, put it on the floor, and start with the belly and begin to shear the belly and then do the back and the whole fleece. The fleece is then pushed out underneath that line where the sheep are standing, and a crew will pick that fleece up and begin to figure out by grading what kind of wool it is, and then appropriately put it into a wool sack. That sack is later then hydraulically compressed into a cube of 300 to 500 pounds and is labeled as to its grade and the operator's name and the shearing contractor's name.
In the end, what really matters in the sheep industry, at least in part, is counting sheep.
It's a lot of responsibility because they've got to be able to not lose sheep. They have to watch out for predators. They have to make sure they count them. There are various ways of counting them. They have a dog or two that'll help them move them and round them up a bit. It's a constant job, although there are downtimes. They live in their sheep camps, and it's a pretty lonely existence. They don't see many people when they're out on the range. They're out there by themselves, and they have their horse and the dog and their sheep camp, and they're watching the flock. It's a lot of responsibility.
Native Americans used the area's freshwater springs for centuries. In 1852, whites settled in, and Springtown was born. One day it would call itself a city, but forever it seems to be a timeless village. Spring City is just off U.S. Highway 89, so a lot of motorists drive by and miss it. But it's not a town lost, but preserved, sort of like a fat jar of raspberry jam from yesterday's harvest. Our many visits here over the years have always taught us something: the way Mormons planned a town, the architecture, outlying farmland, and the landscape that frames it, all part of the narrative. And we've learned in this old town nearly everything is important. Recently, a front yard example of trust, an unattended trailer full of melons, pumpkins, squash, a price list, and a can to deposit what you owe. On occasion, the public is invited to tour the historic homes, meet some artists, and sample their work. It's sort of like an open classroom on art appreciation and history.
Hi.
Hi.
Are you Susan?
I am.
Oh, I have one of your paintings from the plate shop last year.
Oh.
Yeah, pansies.
I don't remember which one it was.
Those
Was it pansies?
pansies
Oh,
on the
our
hot
next
shelf.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
The goal is to give each of those people an opportunity to show who they are, what they are, and how they interpret Spring City specifically and Sanpete County generally, both in landscape and subject. And it's really interesting from the abstract to the contemporary to some modern stuff that's in there.
Marie Lindahl left city life to paint and to learn something about life.
I just feel so blessed that I have the rural setting as part of my life because I can see the stars in the Milky Way at night, and I can see the eagles in the wintertime, and there are pheasants running around at my bird feeder, and it's just wonderful. It's just wonderful. Fresh air. You can sleep at night, no stress, no traffic, no sirens. It's great. I love it down here.
If you ever wonder about things past or just are curious about a sense of place, set the GPS for Spring City, Utah. You'll find prized architecture, square-shouldered homes, spectacular art, and farm-fresh vegetables sold with integrity.
Okay, so let's breathe some life into this and have some fun.
Woolly bully, woolly bully. Roll it, guys, roll it.
Beautiful.
That was awful.
Let me just do it. I'll just go ahead. I'm just telling you.
Is this
Cut it
camera
out.
rolling?
Yeah,
Are you rolling on
no,
this?
That one's rolling. So you just start here, and you just basically. Hi, welcome to Discovery Road.
What's so funny?
This whole thing.
Woolly bully, roll it, guys, roll it.
Yeah, let's keep her.
That's excellent.